All right. Hey, a little breaking news for everybody this morning. I know you're not, or it's afternoon, I guess, if you're in Central and Eastern time zone. The question that you see directly behind me has been answered. Derek Shelton is no longer the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was released of his duties about a half hour ago. Don Kelly, former assistant coach for Jim Leland in Detroit, and the current bench coach for the Pirates, will become the new head coach, the new manager of the team. In a statement released by the Pirates a little bit ago, the Pittsburgh Pirates announced today that Derek Shelton has been relieved of his duties as Pirates manager. Derek worked incredibly hard and sacrificed a lot over 5+ years. His family became a part of the Pirates family, and we will miss that, said Pirates GM Ben Sherrington. He is incredibly smart, curious, and driven baseball leader. I believe he was the right person for the job when he was hired. That's questionable. I also believe the change is now necessary. I wish Derek and his family the best in their next chapter. Quote, Derek is a good man who did a lot for the Pirates in Pittsburgh, but it was time for a change, said Pirates chairman Bob Nutting. The first quarter of the season has been frustrating and painful for all of us. Tell us about it. We have to do better. I know that. Ben knows that. Our coaches know that. Our players know that. Okay. Quote, there is a lot of baseball left to be played, added Nutting. We need to act with a sense of urgency and take the steps necessary to fix this now to get back on track as a team and organization. Pirates bench coach Don Kelly has been named manager. Quote, I believe strongly Donnie is the right person to manage the team right now, said Sherrington. He has the skills and expertise needed to do the job really well and deeply cares about the Pirates and Pittsburgh. I look forward to working with him even more closely. Quote, Donnie is respected as any person in our clubhouse and throughout our organization, said Nutting. He is a pirate. He bleeds black and gold. No one is more committed and no one loves this team or city more than Donnie. He is the right person to manage our team and help us get back on track. He is a Mount Lebanon guy. So, yeah, he is a Pittsburgh guy. He's from Mount Lebanon. Don Kelly began his sixth season as Pirates bench coach before being promoted as the new team's manager. Prior to joining the Pirates, the Pittsburgh native spent the 2019 season as the first base coach for the Houston Astros. Kelly was a versatile infielder and outfielder that played a total of 585 games in the big leagues after originally being selected by Detroit in the eighth round of the 2001 first year player draft. He made his big league debut with the Pirates on April 2, 2007. He also appeared in the postseason 4 consecutive seasons with Detroit, advancing to the World Series in 2012 while being managed by National Baseball Hall of Famer Jim Leland. We all remember who that guy was. The fact that Shelton's gone should be a surprise to absolutely this many people. It was just a matter of when. This team has definitely underperformed this season. Um, and is it his fault? To a degree, yeah, because they're not developing their players. There is talent on this team. There are stacks of talent on this team. The pitching staff, let's be perfectly honest. Now I realize Jared Jones has been out most of the season. I fully understand that. But let's take something into consideration here, folks. That when you look at this pitching staff and you look at the fact of having Skeens like they did last year, and they had Jared Jones last year and Mitch Keller, and they've got Bubba, yeah, I think Bubba Ferguson that's going to be coming up, and you've got, there's a reason why David Bednar struggled. That problem should have been solved. It's not a case that it should have been something that was just let go. That's not the way it should have been. He and his staff should have been able to find the problem and fix it. And it wasn't just a couple of week deal. Bednar's been struggling for about a year and a half now, and it's just not a good deal. There are a lot of young guys on this team that have a lot of talent. A guy like a Ryan Baruki, who's a good, solid ball player, 28 years old. Caleb Ferguson, Colin Holderman. There's a lot of guys in the minors right now that are going to be ready to come up here shortly and play really good ball. They've also fumbled the ball on a lot of their draft picks. when you get a guy, when you have that first pick in the draft, everybody knows they hit a home run with Paul Skeens. Stevie Wonder can see that. They knew that was going to be the guy right out of the box. Henry Davis was going to be a project right out of the chute. But you also knew that he had the tools to be that guy. Has done absolutely nothing in the majors. I honestly think they brought him up too fast. That's just me. Should have given him a little bit more time in AA and AAA to develop before bringing him up. You have to do those things. When you look at what teams like the Astros did in the late teens, what Baltimore did with a bunch of their guys, and I'm not talking about this year. Baltimore is a dumpster fire right this second because they've got so many freaking injuries. I'm not taking that into consideration. Look at the really young, talented guys on this Baltimore Orioles team. Look at the guys in Boston. Look at the guys in Minnesota. Look at the guys in Detroit. Look at the guys in Houston. This is the type of thing that the Pirates should have been able to do. Pitching wise, they look good. Pitching wise, especially starting rotation right now, they're okay. Their bullpen is okay. Not great, but okay. Hitting is atrocious right at the moment. They are losing games 2-1, 3-1, 4-0, that kind of thing. Getting Joey Bart, I think, was a really good deal. But you have other Brian Hayes is an unbelievable defensive third baseman. Can't hit for nothing. And he's never developed. They've never had a guy there to develop him. And that's why they say, they thought Shelton was the right guy 5 years ago for this position. I don't think so. There have been coaches out there to bring in that have proven that they can take young guys and groom them. A Joe Madden, a Mike Scioscia. This past season, Terry Francona was out there, who is a Pittsburgh guy. And what hurts even worse, he goes to a division competitor. And he's taken the Cincinnati Reds, who I picked at the beginning of the season to win the division, and I still think I'm right, that they are going to get better because he's in the clubhouse. The Texas Rangers 3 years ago went out and got Bruce Bochy after Jeff Bannister was their manager. I'm not saying Banny was a bad manager. He was just not able to develop young talent. So Derek Shelton being gone, okay, I'm good with that. I have never said that he shouldn't go. I don't look at him the same way I look at the other head coach in Pittsburgh. But whenever you look at what this team has to do, it can't all be put on Derek Shelton. And I say that because your GM's got to go too. When they brought Ben Sherrington in, Sherrington was supposed to be the savior. He was coming from the Red Sox. He had helped build those Red Sox championship teams. He was supposed to be the savior coming in and, getting this Pirates team back to a winning atmosphere. Hasn't been the case. Sherrington's got to be the next one to go because there's got to be moves made at the trade deadline this season to either A, get young talent in here that they can develop when they get a new coach next year, because Don Kelly will not coach this team next year. I don't think so anyway. I don't think he's going to manage this team next year. But they've got to get some experienced guys in here too. There were enough quality free agents out there, which means that Bob Nutting has got to open up the wallet. But there were enough quality free agents out there that they could have gotten themselves 3 or 4 really solid hitters to get in that lineup to complement Brian Reynolds and O'Neill Cruz and guys like that. So, am I surprised? Hell no. Do I think it's a betterment of the team? Yes, I definitely do. We got one of our Driving to the Top Productions guys hanging out in the backstage. Whoop. Dylan, what are you doing, man?
Big Rich, I was just wondering, you and I both know the Pirates have disappointed this year. We don't have, but in the 13, 14, 15, the Bucks made the playoffs all 3 years, and in 2 of those 3 years, they lost the inner wild card game to Madison Bumgarner and Jake Arrieta. I think Kyle Schwarber's ball is still flying around. Is still flying around PNC Park somewhere,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Pittsburgh's biggest problem is that the Pirates owner is not opening up the wallet like some of these teams for whatever reason. And it doesn't matter what MLB insider, whether it be Jeff Passan, whether it be Bostoni, John Heyman, everybody said, why aren't the Pirates spending money? Why aren't the Pirates spending money? Well, you know, I mean, you've got Pittsburgh's got the most exciting pitcher in baseball in Paul Skeens, and a
Right.
roster right now that is short of offensive talent.
No, you're 100% right. And the Pirates have never really been that team to go out and spend huge dollars. They never have. That's part of the reason why the team in the early 90s fell apart because they wouldn't pay Bonilla, they wouldn't pay Bonds, they wouldn't pay some of these other guys, and they went elsewhere. Part of you were talking about that 13, 14, 15 team. Well, we all know who the anchor of that team was Garrett Cole. And bye-bye. you know, he gets on the first thing smoking, headed to Houston so he could get paid. Um, the Pirates have just never paid big dollars. The biggest concern I have is that when you have the ability and you watch what Houston did, what Cincinnati has done, what Boston has done, what the Angels have done, things like that, what these teams have done with young talent, the Tigers, um, you have to develop these young guys that you get with really high draft picks. Developing Paul Skeens is not any okay. There's no development necessary. He has all the tools right out of the box. But a guy like Henry Davis, you got to develop him. You got to develop O'Neal Cruz. It's almost like he's having to develop himself. Now, granted, he's a hell of a performer, and he's putting up really good numbers this year. If you sit back and really look at it, he's one of the few guys on this team that's putting up really good numbers. But you look at the rest of this team, and there's too many young guys that show all the talent in the world. They're just not getting any better. See the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's don't spend any money.
They did this year.
Not much. But you got Ben Rooker that you signed long term. And I think he's going to get like 15 or 17 million a year, which is middle range money for right now. Lawrence Butler signed a 6-year deal, who, by all accounts, is top 5 fastest guy in baseball and plays a really solid right field, by the way, and is a really good leadoff hitter.
Severino.
You get it, JJ Bleday, super good player. They bring in Luis Severino. I understand you got that big anchor over his head of health. But, Dylan, I really understand what you're saying, that their problem is on the offensive side and they need to get the money out there, which is kind of why I think Sherrington needs to go. I'm just curious to see, will Nutting make the next move and get rid of Sherrington, because the Major League Baseball trade deadline is not that far away. And I realize that the Pirates are definitely not going to be buyers. But, July 31st ain't that far away. And I don't know if you've looked at the Pirates schedule between the rest of May and June. They play one team that is currently not over 500. They've got an absolutely murderer's row for the next 60 days. I mean, they've got the Cubs, they've got the Padres, they've got the Brewers, they've got the Braves, they've got the Dodgers, they've just got you from soup to nuts. Every good team in baseball, the Pirates are playing in the next 2 months.
Yeah,
So, by the time we get to the trade deadline, they're going to be so far out that it's not going to matter.
Well, I mean, but who do the Pirates have to move? I mean, I don't see the Pirates trading Paul Skeens. But I mean, is Mitch
No.
Keller potentially on the trade block?
Is who?
Mitch Keller potentially on the trade block.
Potentially, but I wouldn't get rid of him. But if I have to get rid of one of those front three, Keller would be my guy because I know Jones will be back next season. Um, and you've got Skeens, and you have guys that are coming through the minor league system too. A lot of people fail to realize there are a couple of really good pitchers in the minor league system, including Bubba Ferguson, that is or Bubba Chandler. I'm sorry, who is going to be a tremendous pitcher in the major leagues. He just wasn't as ready as Paul Skeens was. Paul Skeens could have been plug and play on the major league roster, but they wanted to give him a little bit of time in AAA before he came up. And I understood that. And Adam and I went back and forth on that. But the thing that I always look at with this, if they've got some guys that they can dump. Henry Davis is a perfect example of that. You've got Joey Bart in there. You could dump Henry Davis and get
But
some guys in here.
but here's what I would say about that. Sometimes catchers develop slowly, and we know baseball seasons were kind of wonky in 2020 and 2021, and maybe Henry Davis will, and maybe drafting a catcher wasn't the idea because you look at that draft. I mean, the Padres drafted Jackson Merrill at the end of the first round. There were other guys. I think that was the draft the Mets took Kamal Rocker from Vanderbilt.
The Rangers took him.
No, that was the draft the Mets took him, but didn't sign him because of arm injuries.
That's right, because he went back to school. Yeah. They got lighter in 21. They signed him. But that was also a year that they wanted to draft Jackson Jobe. But Jackson Jobe wanted all kinds of major money up front, and they said no. They weren't going to pay it. So he said, "Well, then don't draft me because I'm not coming." Henry Davis fit their budget at the same time. Now, is it a case where Henry Davis was a poor player or a run of the mill player? No, he wasn't. Coming out of college out of Louisville, he was up there. But there were a couple of high school players that they could have brought in too. Um, the pick of Davis, but the other part of it too, they didn't develop Davis. Maybe he needs to go somewhere where he can get some more because he's still young. He's like 26, and they've tried putting him in different positions. It's just not, but I think the Pirates could use him as a trade chip. Are they going to get a superstar for him? No, no. But could they get a serviceable player or two? Yes, they really could. I believe that, and I know we've gone round and round about this on the Wednesday show. Adam and I have. I would be trading Cabrian Hayes. He's one dive for a ball away from being out with his back injury again. A fantastic defensive player, isn't hitting worth nothing. So could you get something for Cabrian Hayes? Yeah. Are you going to get Vlad Guerrero for him? No. But can you get a quality player that can make a difference on a team? Yes. But it doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't make one bit of difference what they do until and unless they get a manager in there that can develop these young guys. To be honest, if it was me, I'd be making 3 phone calls today. Mike Scioscia, number 1. Joe Madden, number 2. Jim Leland, number 3.
Wow,
I would
you're thinking this is 2006 all over again, right?
no. What I'm thinking is I call those guys and say, "Hey, I need a bench coach." Don Kelly is going to manage this team the rest of the season. We're going to give him a tryout the rest of the season. But I need a coach that can develop players and can also develop a coach. All three of those guys could do that. And the fourth phone call would be Dusty Baker. They may all shoot it down, but you got to at least do your due diligence. You got to give it a shot. You know what I mean?
Are the Pirates better off having Cruz in center field or at shortstop? Because I don't think Cruz in center field working all that well.
I think he's working fine. He's learning the position. His talent level is as a center fielder. He's not a very good shortstop. I think he can develop into an unbelievable center fielder.
Honestly,
He has this, he has the speed in the arm. He just has to learn the reading the ball off the bat, which that just takes time.
honestly, if it's me, I would have Cruz play third base and let him use the arm at third.
No, that's like putting a thoroughbred that could win the Kentucky Derby by 4 lengths in the first race at whatever rinky dink horse track you're looking at. O'Neal Cruz should never see third base unless he's running past it. That's the only way O'Neal Cruz should ever see third base. With his athletic talent, he should play one of 4 positions: outfield, the 3 outfield positions, and shortstop. And he's just not a good shortstop. You watch, before it's all said and done, he's going to turn into an all-star center fielder. And I'll go out on a limb with you. He wins a Gold Glove before his career's over. So, but anyway, I just wanted to pop in for a minute, do a little quick thing with this because it just came down. Once again, Derek Shelton has been relieved of his duties as manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Bench coach Don Kelly will take over on an interim basis. Of course, we'll be keeping everybody updated on our Twitter page. Mine is at Big Rich 8371. My Facebook page is just my name, Rich Richardson. And we will keep you up to date on all this. Dylan, how do folks get a hold of you, man?
At Dylan at Sports One, Big D Podcast, Funky Fucking Sports.
I appreciate you popping in for a minute, and I gotta get back to work, but wanted to pop in for a minute and do this. So appreciate you popping in, Dylan, and appreciate everybody checking us out and listening. We'll talk to you later on.